Welcome back to Andy Cooks, and today I'm going to run you through something for our vegetarian and vegan friends, perfect at this time of year. We've got a smoked watermelon ham. Now, it's not really a ham at all, but I guess they called it that because of the process you use is very similar to cooking a glazed ham. I first made this a couple of years ago when a friend of mine, Zoe, was coming over for dinner, and she was a vegan at the time, and I wanted to do something for her that wasn't your kind of traditional nut roast or anything like that. I find those mock meats kind of a bit weird. So I kind of did some research and I found this recipe from a restaurant in New York called Duck's Eatery. But I made it a couple of years ago and it was actually delicious. You know, it doesn't taste anything like a ham, but it does have a really interesting texture to the watermelon. And it's definitely worth going and having a crack, especially if you've already got the smoker running. So let's get stuck in. But before we do that, do me a huge favor. If you take anything from this video, smash that like button and subscribe if you're not. So to start this process, we've got a brine ham. So let's jump to 72 hours ago where I started this. And then all you're gonna do is take a seedless watermelon and you're gonna peel the whole thing really well. You wanna get all that white flesh off the outside. And then you're gonna make a brine. And in that brine, you've got salt, brown sugar, cinnamon, star anise, and cloves. You're gonna bring that to a boil, and then you're gonna pour that over ice, and then top the rest up with water. Then you're gonna put your peeled watermelon in there, and I've got a couple of ice packs that I'm gonna put on top to keep it weighted down, and we'll leave that for 3 days to brine. All right, 3 days later. Now, it's worth mentioning you can just do this in the fridge. If you've got a fridge big enough or a second fridge, just do the same method. Don't use quite as much ice, just use more water. But you do want a bit of ice to cool the brine down, and then in the fridge. I don't have enough fridge space to deal with this, so you can use the esky. Here it is, time to get this bad boy out. And then we're just gonna get it on the tray to drain a bit. Now, from here, we're going to the smoker. So the smoker's set up outside. It's on 125 degrees Celsius or 250 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're gonna smoke it for around 6 hours, I reckon. All right, so 6 hours in now. I actually turned it up a notch after 3 hours. So we turned it up to 335 Celsius, 275 Fahrenheit. It kind of feels a bit tacky. You know, it definitely shrunk a little bit. So we're gonna get this off. We're gonna score it, and then we're gonna finish it by basting it in a pan with some olive oil and rosemary. All right, here she is. So the other thing we got was this, which was the liquid that came off the tray at the back. So we're gonna use that as well, because that's full of smoky flavor. So we're gonna take a knife and we're gonna score it like you'd score a ham. So in a diamond pattern, so start one way and then run your knife over, back the other way. It's pretty crazy. The outside layer is really kind of leathery now. The inside definitely feels a lot softer. All right, so we've got a cast iron pan, but any kind of frying pan will work. And we're gonna add a really generous amount of olive oil to it. So turn the heat on and then put the whole thing in the pan. Just gonna add the juices that were coming off it already and the juice that came out of the smoker. We're also gonna chuck some rosemary on the outside. We'll let this come up to temperature and then we'll baste it. We're gonna carefully put this back on this tray. Just be careful, this is super hot. And we'll just let it chill for a minute before we carve it up. All right, it's time to carve this thing. And it smells pretty impressive, I won't lie. It's kind of sweet and smoky and savory. We'll save all those pan juices, pan for gravy. It's such an interesting texture. I remember this from last time. It kind of goes almost gelatinous, I guess. Tell you what, it's hot. A little bit of rosemary, fresh rosemary for good measure. And there it is, the watermelon ham. Credit where credit's due. Shout out to Duck's Eatery in New York for, I guess, pioneering this recipe. I guess we better see what it tastes like. It's really interesting. It's sweet and savory and smoky, and the texture's, the texture's like cooked watermelon. I don't really know how else to describe it, but it's good. I really enjoy it. Don't get me wrong, it's not replacing my glazed ham this Christmas, but I think it's an excellent addition to your Christmas table, especially if you've got lots of vegetarian or vegans at the table. Yum. Thanks for watching, legends. Hit that like button if you haven't already, subscribe if you're not, and we'll see you soon for another recipe. Peace.